What's my point? Why am I here? What is my purpose? These questions used to make me completely insane. And if you're feeling the same way, really struggling with finding your purpose, you're going to love this week's podcast. I'm reading an exercise from my book, How to Find Your Purpose After 40, that is going to give you direction that you can take within 24 hours that is going to get you on your purpose way. Enjoy the podcast. The Change Guru podcast is brought to you by my books, Be Your Own Change Guru and How to Find Your Purpose After 40. They're available on Amazon, and if you like the show, buying a book is an awesome way to show your support for what I'm doing. And now, here's the podcast.
The Change Guru. Listen up. You are the guru of your own midlife change. Gotta take it and own it, don't be restricted by age. What's the number anyway? Live your dreams, don't hesitate. You're the change guru, you're the change guru. This is the time to step up, make your dreams come true. Whatever the change, it all starts with you. Whether it's life's purpose, relationships or career. Whatever the change, it's time to get what you want, what you really, really want. Make a change in midlife and still look really hot. Listen here, don't have fear. You're the master of your fate, you're the woman of the year. I mean it, change your life forever. I mean it, it's not too late, no never. I said I mean it, change your life forever. I mean it, it's not too late, no never, ever, yeah. The Change Guru, all starts with you.
Hello, welcome to the Change Guru. This is a place where we have a weekly conversation about all things midlife. I'm your host, Sue Paget, coming at you from Sydney, Australia, the land down under. And you know, wherever you are on the planet, if you listen to these podcasts, this is where we have a conversation about all things life. You know, we talk about midlife, we talk about being over 40, but we also talk about these ageless kind of things that we go through. We talk about how to have the best quality of relationships, not only with our others, but ourselves. You know, that's the most important relationship. We talk about how to be healthy, how to feel good in our bodies. We talk about career transition, and we also talk about this little thing called life purpose. Life purpose is, you know, the big questions that we ask ourselves. Why am I here? What's my point? And that's what we're going to be talking about in this week's episode. I'm going to read you a chapter from my book, How to Find Your Purpose After 40, The Secret to Unlocking Your Unique Gift to the world. And I'm really happy to be able to read this chapter to you. I'm actually going to share one of the coolest exercises from the book. In the book, I kind of take you through 3 sections of exercises. So the first one is dealing with your past. And then the next one is dealing with your present. The next one is dealing with your future. And by looking at our past, our present, and future, and almost putting on our Sherlock Holmes hats and doing a bit of detective work, we find the things that make us tick, and in that put it all together to find out what our purpose is. Why are we here? What's our point? Now, before I get to today's episode, let me just do a little bit of business and tell you where you can find me and what's going on with me work-wise. I'm coming towards the end of working on my book about my gray hair experience. What I do in the book is I kind of take you through the lessons and things that I've learned about stitching the dye and letting my hair grow out gray. And I put a lot of different perspectives of this experience through some real-time stuff that's happened to me in relationships and doing my business. and in self-esteem and in dealing with fear. And I really like the little bits of layers in this book. I hope you will too. So if you go to my YouTube channel, if you don't know what I'm talking about, on YouTube about once a month I do a gray hair video where I chronicle my experience of going through this, of ditching the dye. So on my YouTube channel at Susan Paget TV, you can see my videos of me going through this whole gray hair thing. And I, on one hand, I take my coach hat off and I share with you just the feelings of going through this very uniquely feminine experience of no longer dyeing my hair and what that brings up for me. And then I put my coach's hat back on pretty much in every single video, and I try to find, the learning in the experience I'm going through. I try to find some way of empowering myself, and in turn sharing that empowerment with others. And so ways we can look at the gray hair experience as an awesome metaphor for any challenge that we go through life. I've got a new gray hair video coming up next week if you're listening to this in real time. And it's about bravery and doing the gray hair thing and my thoughts about that. So subscribe to Susan Paget TV, and that way you won't miss any of my gray hair videos, let alone all the weekly videos that I do on YouTube. Also, come on over to my Facebook page at facebook.com/thechangeguru.net. I want to get my site up over 1,000 likes. I've kind of been hovering in the 800 realm, so I would love you to come over and join in on the community. It's growing, and we've got some really awesome people on there, and I'd love you to be a part of it. All right, let's talk about how to find your purpose after 40. Why after 40, right? Let's get to that part first. Well, finding my purpose, and I talk about this in the book, finding my purpose was something that I always really wanted to know about. I can distinctly remember being 12 years old and kind of wondering to myself, okay, I know I'm here for a reason. I know there's some reason that I'm here. What's it going to be? Well, I'm only 12, so I guess I'll figure it out. And then I went through life, got married, had kids, got busy with the career. And in the back of my head, I was kind of going like, okay, what's my purpose? Why am I here? What's my point? And life was really good. Make no mistakes about it. I've had a really fantastic life. It has the same challenges that everybody has in their life. It's a human experience. But it's been an amazing life. But still, in the back of my head, I was always asking myself these questions. Is this it? Do I wake up? Do I get born and then do my thing and die? And is that it? Are we just here for just the shortest amount of time? And it means kind of sort of nothing. It's a blink of an eye. But also, I was so busy and I was so tired that I just thought, okay, well, something's going to happen to me that my purpose is going to magically be delivered to me on a silver platter. I just really felt that way. And I felt also that my purpose was going to be delivered to me in the form of my career. For whatever weird reason, I maybe discounted how awesome that it was that I, had a great relationship with my husband, and that I had 3 really cool kids, and that family life was going really, really well. Maybe there was something in me that kind of, I don't want to say took it for granted, because that's not the right feeling, but maybe it's just that I didn't, for whatever reason, find the extreme value in that the way that I was wanting my career to be the place where I would find my purpose. Maybe it's in those things that we feel like a lack of, that are the bugaboo areas that we always feel like they're the ones that, hold the secret elixir to things. So I was going through my work and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to find my purpose. I'm going to find my purpose. And maybe this job will bring me my purpose. Maybe that job will bring me my purpose. And all these things were kind of bubbling inside me in my 40s. And then all of a sudden, I was like, you know what? None of these jobs are bringing me my purpose. My purpose is not coming through work at all. And this kind of culminated in a lot of things going on in my life where I just literally had to get off the career merry-go-round that I was on and stop. And all of that led me to going back to school, to really uncovering that what I love doing is helping other women going through the same kind of things that I am going through. And that led me to realizing that living your purpose is helping others. And it doesn't matter whether you are helping others in the form of a job or you're helping others through the form of being a mother or a father or an awesome aunt or uncle, or brother or sister or son or daughter or person in the community. Purpose is helping others and using our unique skills to do it. So when I finally started, the weirdest thing too was when I realized that purpose was not about someone giving me something and delivering me purpose in a nice little box with a bow in it. It was like the most massive weight was lifted off my shoulders. And all I really needed to do was just start living out the purpose. I knew what the purpose was. I no longer had to go search for it. I had that thing. And you know what? We can live a lot of purposes. One purpose isn't our only thing in the world. We can have a lot of different purposes in life. But once you kind of find the one thing that you kind of been searching for all the time, it unlocks so many doors. It opens up so many opportunities to you. And I find that this subject of purpose is actually an ageless topic. It just so happens that our 40s bring about a lot of times, probably instigated by, our hormonal changes, probably instigated by the fact that we can finally just stop for a second, look around and say, okay, I've got the family, I've got the career thing, and it's still not doing it for me. What else do I need? It's the first time we can actually kind of catch our breath. So my life's mission is to help people find their purpose and to take life and to really remind people that life is pretty miraculous. Life is pretty amazing. It's amazing that we have this opportunity. It's amazing everything that we can do every single day, whether it is simply walk outside your door and be able to look at nature, or to walk outside your door and to look at a million people going to and fro, living their lives, or to be able to turn on your computer or turn on a television or lift up a phone. Everything that we do in our lives is an absolute miracle. It's an absolute miracle that our brains transmit these signals to our fingers to do something, that our brains transmit these signals to our mouths to speak. Everything we do in our life is a total miracle. And I think when you start asking the big questions about why am I here, what's my point, what's my purpose, you're starting to go beyond the physical. You're starting to go into the spiritual realm, that kind of place that is deeper, is more meaningful, that's actually appreciating the miracle that life is, versus just, being on some type of merry-go-round, some type of treadmill of life. So that's my mission, to help you find your purpose. And what I like about my book, How to Find Your Purpose After 40, is that it takes a lot of the frustration about this subject. It strips that away. It gives you some really concrete exercises to go on, so you can almost be your own life coach and dig up the things that are super, super cool about you and figure out a way to bring them into a position so you can help others. When you're helping others with your unique skills, your unique things that you do without even thinking, that's how you make a difference in the world. That's how your world becomes a spiritual place. That's how you find your point. you find your purpose. So look, without any further ado, let me take you through one of the parts of the book, and this is the past exercises, and this is one of the coolest exercises that I still refer to time and time again. And although I'm going to read you the book, or this section of the book, I'm also going to, I may go off page and just add a little thing back and forth. And one thing I didn't even mention is that I'm going to be doing audio versions of my books. So by me doing this this podcast and reading to you is also a way I can practice a little bit. And Jane, I hope I got your name pronunciation right. She pointed out to me that I just need to go a little bit slower in my read. So I'm going to work on going a little bit slower. And if you have any feedback for me, I would love to know, okay? But the most important thing that you can do right now is you might want to grab a pencil and a paper, or just pull out, text edit in your computer and just write some notes as we go along, because things will probably come up as we go through this past exercise. So let me begin without any further ado. So the following exercise is an awesome way to start uncovering the aspects of your unique gifts. The best way to consider this exercise is as a bit of an excavation where you're your own archaeologist. Some of the ideas that are going to come to you through this aren't going to be obvious sources of purpose. You might have to really dig in and extrapolate ideas from them, but that's actually the great thing about this exercise, because it will have you thinking about all chapters of your life and the possibilities of taking on elements that you hadn't considered before. Don't worry if this doesn't make sense right now. Let's start, and you'll understand as we go along. And this section is the past exercises. And I'm going to have a sip of water because my tongue is getting a bit fuzzy. Obviously, things that I'll cut out when I do the real audiobook. So step one, all right, to begin the exercise, I want you to go back to when you were around 12 years old. This is generally the time before hormones kick in, and we start moving into the socializing rituals of young adulthood. It's an innocent time, a time when, if we're fortunate, we have little responsibility other than functioning in the family and going to school. There are probably things that you enjoyed doing as a 12-year-old that were quite unique to you, and you might remember specific ways that you would enjoy spending time alone. So think back a bit. What were those things? Really picture them in your mind. So I'm going to share my experience as an example. When I was around 12 years old and growing up in San Diego, California, I loved reading. I always had a book going, and they were generally series about books about girls my age. They were from different time periods, like the Laura Ingalls Wilder's Pioneer Stories from the Little House series, or Nancy Drew's Teenager in the 1960s detective stories, or stories of young girls of my generation from the extraordinary author Judy Blume. And going off the page, do you remember Judy Blume? Like, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Oh my God, that was like my book. I got that book. It's about, girls getting their periods, and I got that book before I had my period, and it was like my primer for what's going to happen to me when I got my period. I mean, she was an amazing author to latch on to. Must have been in the 70s when I was reading her. Man, she was good. So reading about my peers, regardless of what era they were from, was my sanctuary. I just remember feeling so comfortable and satisfied reading these books. It was like being with old friends who knew me so well. Obviously, this time stands out to me, so if I was playing archaeologist, I'd use this as a place to begin an excavation. I would start digging at some things about this childhood experience that really stood out to me. Even just playing with the words and phrases could provide insight to what my purpose is. So here are some of the keywords and the main ideas that stand out to me. Reading. Okay, reading's one of those words. Clearly, reading was my happy place. Learning and adventure. I obviously loved learning about people in different time periods, places, and circumstances. Stories about lives of girls who were in my age group. All the characters that I gravitated towards were female and around my age group. Even though they were from different times, I really related to the basic and common needs that were specific for teenage girls. So do you have the idea? Now, it is your turn to write down what stands out about you as a 12-year-old. Put down at least one thought, but if you really want to give yourself options to play with, aim for 3 and write them down now. So you can even stop the podcast if you want to right now and just write out between 1 and 3 examples of the 3 main themes of what you were passionate about as a 12-year-old are. So you can stop the podcast and then come back when you're ready to go on. Or you can continue on. So if you've followed the exercise, you've written down at least 1, but up to 3 main things that you love to do as a 12-year-old. So this is a second step that you need to take. It's where you can then take these ideas even further, brainstorming to a way that resonates with you for where you are right now. So I'm going to go back to my example of loving to read and take it even further. So step 2. In this step, I'm going to look at what I've written and delve further. I'm going to ask myself the questions, what's the deeper meaning of this word, phrase, or idea? Do I still enjoy doing this, or has this word, phrase, or idea manifested in any way through my life? So when I was looking at reading, here's what I came up with. Reading. I have an enjoyment of language, of writing, of being creative, and this all makes sense to me. I have a working knowledge of different languages. I've always written in my career, and have always loved the creative aspects of jobs. Reading and writing has always been a constant in my life. So that reading, this is off the page, that reading that I did as a 12-year-old has continued on through my life. It's been a constant. The other thing that I came up with through reading was that learning, I like to learn. Curiosity, studying, teaching. And this one also made sense to me, but in a non-traditional way. Like, I love to learn, but I studied yoga on my own for years, and I often take classes in writing or practicing Spanish. Most of my learning through the years has been self-taught, and I went through most of my adult life thinking that's all that I needed. Another thing I came up with through just examining what elements came from reading was that I loved stories about lives of girls my age, my peers. And then if I, think about what that means for me right now, I have an interest in women's issues, life issues. And this also resonated with me. In my adult life, I continued to read autobiographies of women. I loved stories and information that paralleled my own process, whether it was on what to expect when I was expecting, the whole babies thing, or on women's wellness, beauty, and activism. Now, it's your turn to do step 2. So have a look at the answers you wrote for step 1 and ask yourself, what connection is there between what you loved as a 12-year-old and what you've been interested in or not interested in for your life? And write down at least 3 connections, just as I did. So the first big connection between what I did as a 12-year-old, in step 1, and what I do now is... Okay, so you're going to do that for all the themes. If you just did one, just write it down one time. The first connection between what I did as a 12-year-old and what I did now. All right? And then you can do that for this a second connection between what you did as a 12-year-old and what you do now. And then a third connection between what you did as a 12-year-old and what you do now. And you can stop the podcast, pause the podcast, and just think about it. What's the connecting point? What are you doing now that has some type of connection? If you are coming back, welcome back. And if you're continuing on, thanks for hanging in there, because we're going to go to step 3 with all of this. So by now you should know one thing, at least one thing that you loved as a 12-year-old, and then some connections between that thing and kind of what you've done through your life. So the third part of looking at your past is to see if there are any steps you can take to physically investigate these clues further. So this next step is about taking some sort of action on your clues. And for my example of loving to read about, young girls, Judy Blume books, Laura Ingalls Wilder books, Nancy Drew books, this action that I could derive from them could look like this. So I loved reading, I loved writing. So I could find ways to read and write for the pure sake of enjoyment, the kind of enjoyment I had when I was a young girl and wasn't thinking about work. The actions that I could take could be to start a blog or keep a journal, right? So if I would have done this when I was stuck in careers that weren't happy for me, I could say, you know what? I've gotten off track a little bit here. I'm not reading the kind of books that I used to read as a 12-year-old. I should go back and start reading some nonfiction books about women my age. I should look at the subject matter that I really always loved and just kind of get back into it. Or I should start writing. I should start writing about my life, start doing that kind of thing. The next thing was learning and studying. I loved learning about girls from different eras and learning about girls who's had different lives going on and studying. So there were some short courses and some different trainings that sounded interesting. I also thought about maybe going back to school and studying something that had nothing to do with my career, but something I have a passion for. So if I would have done this exercise when I was still in my career, I would have gone, ooh, and I'm talking off page here. I would have gone, ooh, maybe I should go back to school. Ooh, what could I learn that has nothing to do with my career right now? What do I actually have a passion for? I did this, and the funny thing is, I did all these things when I finally stopped and got off the merry-go-round. But if I had this exercise, I could have started finding my passion, finding my purpose then. And the third thing that I could take action on was stories about lives of girls my age peers, interest in women's issues. Never really put together how important women's issues were for me. I was never really, and I'm obviously going off page here, I never really considered myself an activist. I never really even considered myself an obvious feminist. I just never even thought about my interest in women's issues. And, that got me thinking. I'd seen some organizations for women that sounded interesting, like a women's hiking group, or maybe volunteering in a situation that helps women, new mothers, or women at risk. So those are the things that I came up with, just from looking at my past, and I'm still off topic here. I came up that I should read more and that I should start blogging or keep a journal. I learned that maybe I should go back to school, or maybe I should start, doing some short courses or do something to start learning again. And also, maybe I should just get a little bit more involved with my sisters. Now, from just looking at one, and I'm back on the book, from just looking at one aspect of your past, all you need is one, but maybe you have a lot. You can get some very strong direction of paths to go down. These are pathways to areas that give you passion, and while they might not initially show you how you can live your purpose, you'll find that if you're willing to explore these paths, You'll be more aligned with doing things that give you joy, which will in turn allow you to give more of the innate gifts you already possess, and then it can offer you a surprising pointer to the purpose that's right under your nose. This past exercise pretty much operates on a domino effect. One chip leads on the next until they all fold over. Click, click, clicking until you end up somewhere. So now it's your turn to do step 3, just like I did. So I want you to write down, look at everything you've written so far from your 12-year-old self. So you've written down what you love to do as a 12-year-old. You've written down, different themes, what it could actually mean, that thing that you love to do, why you love to do it. And now it's your turn to investigate or consider some present-day actions that you can take. Again, you're going to want to just stretch your mind a bit and put down at least 3 actions, just like I did. And of course, if you have more than 3 actions you can take, then go for it. So, looking at what you've chosen, I want you to write down what actions you can take in the modern world right now based on your 12-year-old self. So you can pause the podcast right now. And if you're back, you will have some little action steps. And you'll see that by going through the 3 steps, you've identified some great information that is very much within you. It's like a message in the bottle sent from your 12-year-old self, isn't it? Right, so I'm going to take you through step 4, and now it's time to make good on the promise of your early years. I want you to list at least 3 things you can do within the next 24 hours to follow up on these things. All right? So when I was seeking my purpose, this is what I did. Number 1, I made a phone call and signed up to go back to university and do a degree in psychology. Number 2, I started researching, interviewing, and writing about what I was going through as a woman experiencing perimenopause. And just to let you know, at the time, I had no idea that I'd be doing this as a career. I just was following the direction of what I loved as a 12-year-old, reading and writing about girls my age. And 3, I joined a group of women who hiked in my neighborhood. Now, as you might discover, this is a very powerful exercise for getting on the road to purpose. And I still to this day marvel at the answers that have come from just sitting quietly and thinking about myself as a 12-year-old. I feel like following the guidance of these clues really honors the promise of that young girl. Any frustration that I had about finding purpose really pales in comparison to the idea of not getting reacquainted with her. It is so worth the journey, and if you spend time on it and really think it through, this past exercise really activates the unique part of your purpose. So that is one of the exercises from How to Find Your Purpose After 40, The Secret to Unlocking Your Unique Gift with the World. For me, time and time again, this exercise blows my mind because here I am it's like I'm honoring the life I'm living right now is really honoring the 12-year-old in me. It was kind of like that ageless soul pilot light inside me that felt so moved by this type of subject. And here I am because I finally listened and took the clues from her that I'm living my purpose doing this kind of work. There are a lot of other things that I think about my 12-year-old self that I used to love to do. I used to really love to go to the library and, again, the reading and learning part. But I used to also love to look at natural stuff. I was thinking about this morning. I used to love to look at like natural soaps and natural beauty products because, I was starting to get pimples. I was starting to get my first zits. And I really wanted to know, what was going on with my body? What do I do to deal with this? And I think it's so funny because here I am, the job I'm doing, the work I'm doing was really instigated by hormonal changes of perimenopause. So if you dig, it's amazing the clues that you get from that beautiful 12-year-old you. It's a profound exercise. And I really invite you to listen to this podcast over and over again. Listen to it on your free time. If you have some free time, and you really want to go through this exercise properly, being able to pause it and write it down and really just spend some time doing it. I think it'd be it's a fun one to do by lighting a candle, pouring yourself a glass of wine or a cup of tea, and maybe putting on some nice music, and just treat it almost like a vision board of just going back into your life. It's like back to your future. I really love it. It's very powerful. And I'm really hoping this is something that gets you excited to go on the adventure of finding your purpose. Now, if you are intrigued about this book, How to Find Your Purpose After 40, go to my website at thechangeguru.net and click the link that says download a free sample chapter of my book. It's going to take you to Amazon, where you can download a free sample chapter of the book, and it gives you a different part of the book so you can get even more value from it. And if you've listened to this podcast, and if you've already downloaded the sample chapter, why don't you buy the book? It's cheaper than a cup of coffee. It really is, and will absolutely change your life. It's also an awesome way to support the work I'm doing, so you can go and find that on Amazon. But first, download a sample chapter and see what you think over at my website at thechangeguru.net. Another way that you can support the show is if you've already read my book, you can go to Amazon and review the book. I've only got a few reviews there, which just is so bizarre to me, because I get emails of people telling me that they love the book, and I love that so much. But what helps other people buy the book and find the book is other reviews. So if you want to leave a review for me on Amazon, that would be major. And a third epic thing that you can do if you like my podcasts is to leave an honest review on iTunes. It's the same thing. It's a social proof that we all need when we're working in the online space of people that, say, hey, this is good stuff. Read it, listen to it, this is good. So those three things really support what I'm doing. You can buy the book, you can review the book on Amazon, or review it on iTunes. That is an awesome way to show your support for what I do. All right. I'm so happy I was able to bring this book to you, and I am really grateful for you listening, for you subscribing to the podcast. It's such an honor. It really is an honor to be able to do this, and I'm just remembering something else that my 12-year-old self used to dig doing that totally relates to right now. Would you believe that I used to love CB radios? Some of you, if you're younger, you probably don't even know what a CB radio is, but if you're kind of in my demographic, there was this thing where you could talk in your car. Truckers used to do it, but then it kind of expanded to actual normal people. And in my parents' car, they installed a CB radio, and so I used to sit there in the driveway, and I'd be like, Breaker 19, this is Susie Q, and I'm coming at you from my driveway, and look what I'm doing right now. Same thing, podcasts. Amazing, hey? My 12-year-old, wow, she was like a psychic. Wish I would have started listening to her earlier. Anyways, go through this exercise. It is profound. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about what it's done for me. Thank you so much. I'm honored you spent some time with me. Big hug and kiss. Thanks so much, and I look forward to talking with you next week. Bye for now.